My name is Cameron Cassidy. I'm on the Seeking Success podcast with Radies and Umar, and looking forward to chatting about real estate.
Let's go. Guys, Cam is an OG on our YouTube channels.
Oh, for sure.
We've known him for like 4 or 5 years now. So many videos we've made with this guy going through real estate, actual properties, and now he's on the podcast.
And we're in a bigger office than last time.
Yes.
Because Cam's the branch manager now.
Yeah.
A lot's changed since we've been here now. Like, in terms of everything. Like, how old were we last time we were here? Like 20?
Yeah,
You're probably 19.
I was probably 19, you were 20. Yeah.
And like,
it was before we both had our cars.
No, we had no real cars. We didn't own any properties. I'm married too now, which is nuts.
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
A lot's changed. God.
I have 2 kids now, so
that's
probably
I'm growing a little facial hair now. Like, it's been nuts. And guys, we're not going to go too in-depth into Cam's stories because we've done that so many times already on my channel, and Cam has videos on it as well. But we do want to talk about what happened since we've last seen you.
Yes.
And we had the world kind of closed down, and you decided to take your talents over to Florida. So why don't we start off the episode by talking about that? Like, what's over there in Florida other than gators?
Money and cash flow, right? It, around here, prices were getting crazy. And, as you know, I was doing, property tours and investor workshops, and, they stopped making sense to me. The numbers, it was tough to sell them because I just didn't believe in them, and I wasn't going to personally invest in them. I remember the first legal 2 unit that sold for over $1 million. I went, I'm out. That's it. And I started looking around and always wanted to try the Airbnb thing, and made sense to do it in a place where everybody likes to go vacation.
For
and
sure.
The numbers that I was looking at were kind of a little bit surreal. Like I didn't know if I should believe them, but I thought, let's try it. Bought one property and it worked really well. The cash flow was insane, and I said, okay,
awesome.
buying another one, and hopefully a third one coming up here shortly. But
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, so let's actually dive deep into the numbers so people actually get
what's
the comparison. So in Oshawa, you were doing mainly duplex conversion, so the BRRRR method, right? And those stopped working because these properties were too expensive and didn't follow the 1% rule, correct?
Yeah, once you to refi them didn't make sense anymore, right? They after the refi, you'd be negative cash flow, a crazy amount of dollars, and so even buying them in any way, they didn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So
And even back then, the cash flow in Oshawa, specifically where you are the expert in, it was only like a couple $100 a month, right?
Well, I mean,
with a decent down payment as well, right?
The property I did that before that though was a literally a year and a half, not even, maybe a year before things popped. I did a full BRRRR. I bought a property, pulled all of my money out, and it still cash flowed $800 to $1,000 a month.
Yes.
Okay. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to have none of my own money invested in that. I was like, I'm cool with that. It's a very quality product in a 58-foot frontage lot. Like,
nice.
Just a quality house that I feel comfortable with. But yeah, then the numbers the prices kept going up. Rents didn't follow suit with that, and the numbers just didn't make sense anymore.
And I guess for people who are not too experienced in real estate, do you want to quickly explain like what is the perfect BRRRR and just quickly go through that process?
Yeah, no, it just means like the perfect BRRRR means you pull all of your money out.
Yeah.
So you're able to, I put down, I remember $110,000. It was $100K reno. So I was in for $210. And then after I was able to refinance the property, I got all of that $210 back. So the $210 I put in, I got it all back, and I still own this property.
And it's still cash flow.
And it's still cash flowed $800 to $1,000 a month. That has since disappeared.
Yeah.
Because I took a variable rate mortgage. So it's break even now. But,
Okay. Okay.
Fair
now,
enough.
you said that the numbers in Florida were a bit crazy. Can you share some of these numbers?
Yeah. What are we talking about, man? I'm intrigued, bro.
We're talking about
we might have to take a trip down to Florida.
0.5% rule now?
So, I mean, it's, again, remember the Airbnb. The Airbnb really pumps up the numbers, right?
For sure.
For me, I wanted something safe. I was super nervous going down there going, oh boy, like, new market, new strategy,
For sure.
So I bought basically a 3-bedroom condo on the beach.
Okay.
The top floor, gorgeous sunsets every single night, right?
Awesome.
Wow.
This property already came with numbers showing that the previous year it brought in $100,000, which to me was about $4,000 to $5,000 a month in cash flow based off my numbers. So I was kind of like
cash flow, like profit?
Profit.
Whoa. Okay.
Believable. Yeah.
And what was the purchase price on that?
So $935,000
Okay.
was the purchase price. I had to put 30% down. So I was putting down around $300,000 American. Right.
Wow.
Which is a big chunk of change. So it was a lot, but again, 5K a month profit is still a really good cash on cash return.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
You're still around 12 to 14% cash on cash is what it worked out to be.
Right.
So nothing like that in Austria would ever cash
Yeah,
flow
yeah.
that well.
For
And I
sure.
mean, it's continued to perform that way. So people
Wow.
just go crazy. They're there for a week. They'll pay a premium. And like this past March, actually, because I've been improving on my pricing strategy and things like that, it brought in $14,000 just in the month of March, which is usually around 10,000. So, that month I was cash flowing, like my expenses are about 5,000 a month.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm usually bringing in around 10K a month, 2,500 a week is what it rents for.
Okay.
But yeah, so I ended up getting like 9K cash flow just for that month, American.
Wow.
Okay.
Too.
And if we're talking numbers, are you okay to share what interest rate are you paying on this loan?
Yeah, so that's the best part. I locked into a 4.8, 30-year fixed.
30-year
Mm.
fixed. Whoa.
30-year fixed.
No
Yeah.
way. I didn't even know they did that.
That's the beauty of it.
Is
That's
that like a
is that a
U.S.
States
exclusive
thing?
that's a US thing. You can't even get
Dude,
it
in
in
the
Canada.
States, they're crazy over there.
If you tell an American that you have to refinance and you don't know what your interest rate's going to be every 5 years, they'd be like, and you're buying a house
Yeah.
in that type of environment,
Yeah.
and and that's why they're not crashing. They're not
Yeah.
crashing like we should be. We're not crashing as hard as we should be either, but
For sure,
that's a
for
different
sure.
conversation. But no, that's why I felt confident. So I'm like, okay, I got a condo on the beach. It's fully renovated. Watch the sunset every night. I can fix my costs for 30 years.
Wow.
And so I'm like, if my insurance goes up, people are like, oh, insurance has gone up like $200. I'm like, again, it's peanuts, right? Like it's
The whole year.
Oh yeah, per month.
Oh,
month.
okay, but
Yeah,
20
so
bucks
like
okay, fair.
2,000, 2,400. Yeah, but people, they're percentage wise, that's a big jump.
Yeah,
so
it
they're
is,
going
it is.
insurance crashing. It's going crazy,
God.
and I'm like, okay,
You
it
have to
is.
insure your property,
It is
yeah.
going up, but I mean, you're
That's
still
crazy.
the numbers still look really good, right?
That's crazy.
And so what made you decide to go to Florida, a completely new market, and drop like, what was that, like 1.3 million Canadian? Like you just decided straight into the deep end. Why did that happen?
It's just analysis, just running the numbers, and I just like the cash on cash return.
Yeah.
I just like the numbers, and wanted to invest long term, right? Though that's where I'm going to continue to invest long term, and the numbers just made sense.
Okay.
And-
And for tax purposes, are we talking two taxes, U.S. and
No.
Canada, just Canadian?
No, there's a tax treaty between Canada and the States. So if
Okay.
you bought the property in a personal name, so any taxes that you pay for in the States, you get credit for in Canada.
Ah.
Yeah. So if you put it in an LLC or any sort of corp, then you're going to be double taxed.
Double
You'll be
taxed.
taxed in the States, and then that profit will be taxed
And-
up here. But if you put it in a Canadian corp or you put it in your own personal name, you won't be double taxed.
Oh.
Dude, we might have to take a trip down to Florida and like go tour his properties or something. Do like an
God.
old school real estate
Yeah.
video.
Well, so then I bought a duplex, right? Then I bought a side by side duplex. So it was kind of interesting because I went from basically, this safe. I wouldn't say the best investment, even though the numbers are really good.
Yeah.
It was still a lot of money. It was still also, I should caveat, kind of like our cottage,
Yes.
right? It was like my wife's mom lives down there, and I just wanted something that I can go travel to as well.
For
So
sure.
it was a little bit of even though I liked the numbers, it was still a big chunk of change.
for
My
sure.
bread and butter was, high rate of return based off of leaving no money in the deal. So I kind
Yes.
of went back to that with the second property and bought a duplex, a side-by-side duplex, a true duplex, not what we call it
not
here.
like the up and down.
Yeah, like two side-by-side, two one-bedroom units that both had tenants in them. I bought it off a wholesaler, sight unseen,
Nice.
and with a 14-day closing. So
Nice.
Oh,
it was
wow.
a totally different, I went from very safe to like, fuck it, let's just get it.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
just buy a good property. And it's performed really well too.
Okay.
And it's allowed me to learn what's going on as far as the not the tenant profile, but like the landlord laws down
Yes.
there. And get
It's more
comfortable with
conservative,
that.
right?
Very, right?
Yeah.
Very. And I was able to just not renew one of the tenants and converted that one unit to an Airbnb. And I
Exactly.
kept one of the other
Wow.
tenants and raised their rent from $1,350 to $1,800. And this year he's up to $2,000. So
Fair.
you kind of have more freedom and flexibility with
Oh,
that.
for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
And so you talked about in the first property, the condo, you had expenses of around like 5K. So is that including someone to manage your Airbnb or no? Are you completely doing that yourself?
No, and it's a good point. I always should mention that. I forget though, but I self-manage it.
Okay, so you do
And-
self-manage it.
Yeah, and I mean, property managers charge down there like 20 to 30%.
Wow.
Like they got a seriously good hustle down there with that stuff because it does not take a lot of effort. And yeah, that would be a good chunk of change. You know, probably about $1,000 of that cash flow a month would be going to the managers, you know,
For sure.
1,500 somewhere in that range.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that would lower the cash flow quite a bit. But you know, with technology and apps nowadays, it is
The
still
codes and
super
cleaners.
easy, and cleaners and everything.
sure.
Like the apps nowadays are just, if you're somewhat tech savvy, you can manage it
for
no
sure.
problem, and it's no different than managing any other property.
for
It is
sure.
not a challenge. It's
Yeah, I guess the numbers would be the thing when you have multiple units and it'd be more complicated. But even then, I wonder if a VA would be more cheaper than actual property manager.
Probably.
You know,
But that's
somebody in the
why-
Philippines just
Yeah.
call this
Yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
and there's
book
people
this.
that do that. You can train them to
Yeah.
do that, even with automated messages and stuff
Exactly.
too. Like it's
yeah.
and I mean that's why I like the higher purchase price. At first, I was kind of weary of that, but
Yes.
I'd rather own 2 or 3 luxury Airbnb properties that bring in
Yes.
crazy amount of money and just manage those and make sure they're good than own 20 properties and have them with joint venture partners or you know, have them
yes.
with just such thin margins just to grow a big portfolio
For sure.
is doesn't make sense to me.
And I remember, Cam, when you originally said that a couple years back when we saw you, you're like, I would rather be negative cash flow in a nice neighborhood than like Crackville and like every day the cops are showing up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance between having cash flow and a quality property, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
I don't like negative cash flow properties.
Of course.
Yeah, I think like low, but like the Oshawa ones were low cash flow, right?
Yeah.
Relative
Yeah,
to
yeah,
what,
yeah.
and I knew that. Like you could go out to these other markets, Sudbury,
Yeah.
London, and get better 1% rural properties where you weren't getting that in Oshawa. I didn't like that idea, but I also now realize that cash flow really fixes everything. It really solves every problem.
Yes.
You know, when you're owning real estate, it just shit goes wrong. Interest rates go up,
sure.
things break, tenants lose jobs. Like,
for sure.
you know, and if you're not cash flowing or building reserves, you're
For sure.
just playing with fire, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
What's like the most affordable entry point in Florida?
that's the thing with Florida. There's trailers for $20,000, right? Like it's such a crazy market. And then next to that trailer is a mansion for $4 million.
God.
It is a very strange market in that, you know, you could drive down the street and it's not like in Ontario where it's like, oh, this area or pocket are, you know, $1 million homes where these are here. But Florida has a ton of trailer parks. Mobile homes is the correct term.
Yeah,
But there's people buying houses for $100,000, $80,000, $50,000.
And these are cash flowing too.
Depends, right?
Sure. But
Interesting.
you know, again, it's you know, you're in not a nice area. You're in a you know, rundown. You know, it depends, right?
sure.
The numbers can vary, and I mean, I still think it would probably work better than here. But there's still challenges with hurricanes, with you know, things like that. Of you know,
Yeah, for sure.
that can cause problems, right? So, yeah,
And you said you're in Florida. Are you like closer to Orlando or closer to Miami?
Tampa.
Tampa. Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
St. Petersburg, Clearwater,
Nice.
all along that beach there. There's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
strip
yeah.
there. So Indian Shores and Treasure Island are the 2 areas where I have my
Nice.
properties. And yeah, I mean, to me, like it just made sense to be, you know, closer to the beach to me
sure.
feels safer, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know, I just think if recessions happen, if prices pull back, you know, people are always going to want to vacation. They're always going to
course.
want to go to the beach. They're,
Oh, for sure.
you know, to me, I just, you know, numbers in Orlando actually are better, you know, even on Airbnb, but I don't like relying on Disney. I don't like relying on, you know, things like that where,
sure.
you know, to me, the beach isn't going anywhere. And it's
Exactly.
just, yeah, I mean, it's just a safe long-term
Yes.
investment, right?
Oh, for sure. But that's the cool thing, right? About buying a luxury condo by the beach is like, think of the kind of person who, if you were going to sell down the line, who's going to want to buy that, right?
Yeah.
In a recession, really big corps are they're still making their money, right? And someone like that who works for a company like that is going to be the ideal person to buy. So I guess you make your money in the buy, right? Not necessarily at the time of selling, right? So that's interesting to see.
Yes, I think so, but it's interesting because you know, so that property that I bought, I paid $935. It was listed for $910,
Okay.
and there's bidding wars at the time, right? The market was still very hot down there too, and I remember going to my realtor. She was like, "Okay, I think like $925 will be good." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, just do $935." She's like, no, you'll be good at 925. I'm like, just do 935. I want to win this, right? And she was like shocked, right? At like, oh, and so I agree with that to a point, but you still also like, I wanted that property. Like,
of course,
Yeah,
of
you know,
course.
the fully renovated property is hard to come by down there. It's hard to reno. There's labor shortages down there too.
Oh.
There's challenges around that. So, I mean, to me, buying something turnkey that already had, you know, proof of concept and that there was already numbers showing that it made 100K, I went, that's it. Like, that's the safe buy. If my expenses were 60K, it's showing 100. I was able to, you know, even bump that up a little bit, but it still, you know, gave me a nice 40, 45K buffer. I went, okay, I feel confident in investing a good chunk of change down there. And I felt confident. I wasn't worried about it. So
Yes. Okay. And with finance, I want to ask as well, because it sounds like you went traditional through the bank in the US. How does it work with like documents and everything? Is it just as strict as Canada? Do they have a similar stress test? Is it more lax?
They were strict. They're very strict, and I liked seeing that. There was a lot of hoops to jump through to get the 30-year fixed, and they still look at your income up here. They still qualify you.
Sure.
Your credit score is pulled from up here as well. So, they're qualifying you exactly the same. A lot of people stress over that kind of thing, where it's just, you know, if you can qualify here, you can qualify there.
Okay. And then you closed one in 14 days. Was that the same process? You also went to the bank, or was that privately? That's privately funded?
No. So what I realized, so I had kind of a crazy closing, we'll say. So it was like supposed to be a 40-day closing, which I was like, that's plenty of time.
Yes.
I was flying down there on the Monday, and you know, my mortgage broker, when I landed on the Monday, was like, the bank's asking for this document. I'm like, what do you like? I'm here. I'm closing. Like, I've sent that document. They're like, yeah, they want it again or something like that. And so I was delayed 5 days. I didn't close till the Friday, and I already had bookings scheduled.
Oh shit.
So I had someone coming the Monday, right? I had 40K worth of bookings before I even closed on the property. So what I did was I took the listing photos and just threw it up on Airbnb as soon as I bought it. And so then I had it fully booked out. So I was like, you know, but it came fully furnished. It was pretty much done. I just needed to close. And I thought it was going to close on the Monday. I was planning on going down there for the week, enjoying it, cleaning it up, whatever. And, but the banks were just like, didn't care. And like, even when I went to the title company, you know, to, you know, say to them like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, it's normal down here. It's, you know, banks are slow and no big deal. And even the seller, I got a hotel Monday night and Tuesday night. And then I'm like, I need to talk to the seller, right? Like, go to the realtor, and I'm like, listen, dude, I'm down here. I'm buying this thing. And he was like a really cool guy. And it was like, yeah, no problem. He's like, here, go stay at the condo. And I went and stayed there the Wednesday, didn't close till 2 days later. And then, like, luckily had a day to, you know, just clean it up. And then I had a guest there on Monday.
Bro, imagine that story. Imagine like living that life. Like, that's crazy.
Dude, it's not just that. Like, so far I bought 2 properties. And the first one was very straightforward. I had a proper 9-to-5 jobs, paperwork, taxes, everything was filed correctly. Yet, up until the day I got the keys, I'm like, is this deal gonna fall apart? And the second time was even worse, because now it was like YouTube income, and then they had to see, instead of income documents, they want to see bank statements, and then a cosigner, and then again, till the last moment, I was like, am I gonna lose out on this opportunity?
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing I hate about purchasing real estate.
So to answer your question, then the original question, so what I did for the second one is I bought it on a line of credit. So I bought it. I had a home equity line of credit from Canada that I transferred down to the States and purchased the property in cash. So I was able to buy it in cash with no mortgage. So that allowed me, and this was going back to that traditional BRRRR now, where I knew the rents were under market, that needed reno. So what I did was I got the one tenant out, I raised the other one's rent, renoed that unit, staged it for Airbnb, then got it appraised again. And they came back and they went, wow, this one's really nice. This one's bringing in $1,800 a month. And so I was able to get a mortgage and pull it back out, pay off the line of credit here.
Wow.
And essentially go back to the BRRRR strategy and then hang on to it where, So that's what I mean. Like, the condo was a very safe kind of personal, you know, put a lot of money in, but good cash on cash return. The other one was back to the BRRRR, pull money out, but still own something with very next to no money left into it, where it's still cash flowing $2 to $3 grand a month.
Yes.
And so, can we talk about the numbers on the second one real quick? Yes, let's go into that.
Yeah.
So, is that
So that one, cash flows around $2 to $3 grand a month.
okay?
So,
Sweet.
US.
US, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So the one guy's paying $1,800. He's now paying $2,000 on the one side long term. So every month $2,000. He takes care of the utilities. On the other side, that condo unit's bringing in $4,000 to $5,000 a month. So it'll be 6 to 7 per month, and my expenses are around $4K a month.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what was the purchase price on that? You said
$515.
$515. Okay.
Yeah.
So half the price of the luxury condo, but you have 2 units.
2 units, 2 one-bedroom units. So each
Okay.
unit's about 550 square feet.
Okay, nice.
But nice little,
And good neighborhood.
really good neighborhood. You're one street off of the beach, so it's not right on the
Wow.
beach, but it's one street off, so you could walk there in like 2 minutes. Great restaurants all around it.
Awesome.
Got like a carport, just a nice solid house on a decent sized property too, which again is kind of that different strategy. So yeah, I mean it's a different style of
sure.
investment, but it's
Yeah.
still doing really well. And I could Airbnb the other side too, which
Yes.
would really beef up the numbers. But honestly, my tenant is just an absolute beauty down there.
Yeah.
He's crazy. Like even during the hurricane, like put up all hurricane shutters for me and all that, and like
sweet.
Oh no way.
things like that. Just really good dude in that. And I'm
Fair.
like, it's still making good money. And
Yeah.
So
That's sometimes the cost of people, man. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes like if it's less stressful, it's worth that opportunity loss, right? Versus like you can be on Airbnb and then you got to deal with X, Y, and Z. Or,
yeah.
bills are getting paid, money's going back in your pocket. Like how greedy do you want to be at the end of the day?
Yeah. I was gonna ask. You've been to Florida before, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Nice.
Yo, it sounds very intriguing now. I
It's
want to just go there just
beautiful.
for vibes.
Oh, no,
It seems
it's
pretty cool.
beautiful.
And I
it's
guess
amazing.
Oh, good, Mo. I guess we also want to ask, maybe diverting back to Ontario instead of Florida. I think we'll go Florida, right? Any other
Yeah. I
questions?
think we're
I'm
good for
good.
Florida.
I want to ask you, like, what's like the go-to thing right now? Like, we know in 2019, everyone and their dog wanted to invest in Windsor because of the cash flow, right? What's like the
market?
hot thing right now? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's like pre-con investing is still somehow a thing. Pre-con speculating, I'll call it.
Okay.
Pre-con gambling.
Yeah.
God.
I don't know. Like they're people are moving to multifamily a little bit,
I've seen that.
but there isn't. People are now even going to private lending because they're going, okay, wait, like when I do the numbers, I can get better cash on cash returns.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
So I mean, maybe shifting away from that, but there's just a lot of people struggling here too, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that are negative cash flow and that are just hanging on for dear life.
God.
And either hoping to sell. I don't know how we're not getting a flood of inventory here. Like,
Yeah.
it's perplexing to me why, because there's people that bought duplexes in Oshawa for like 1.2 million that are now worth 800,000 that are negative cash flowing $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Because that's what's gonna be scary. I was talking to my dad about this. But 2020, big boom, pandemic time. Lots of people had the money. Interest rates less than 2%.
Yeah.
What happens 4 or 5 years down the line when renewals come and you have $1 million property? Your mortgage is gonna go from $1,500-$1,600 to $6,000 overnight. Like, a market's gonna flood.
It should be now though. This is what is considered me. Like, where's the inventory? Like, why aren't people selling? And we're like, even in Durham here, we are record low inventory. Like nobody either can't afford to move or doesn't want to move or
That's the thing. Where are you going to move? You're going to sell your $1 million property to go move into a smaller $1 million property?
Well, it's not even the price, right? Like the mortgage that you're going to be paying.
And the mortgage,
like you're still,
because if you
even if
lock
you buy
a decent
800,
rate.
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Like you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And it's I don't really understand it, and so I'm just staying away from it.
How much are you familiar with Alberta markets right now?
Not really. I know it's hot too, and I know people are flooding there, and buying there. Same with New Brunswick. Same with some other areas, and people tend to do that, right? When the numbers stop making sense in an area, they find somewhere else to invest.
Well, so what do you think is like the go-to, right? So if let's say for someone like me, right? I don't have my first property. Where would you recommend someone to get started? Because you're not doing it in Oshawa anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on what your goals are. It depends on, if you want cash flow, if you need cash flow, or which I would say most people do, or you're moving into it, or work has a factor, where you live. you know, how much money you have to start, right? Like that's usually the first question I ask people is, okay, what do you have to work with? They're like $5,000. I'm like, keep saving, you know, go, you know what I mean? But it's funny, right? But like, or this is why a lot of people, you know, speculate in pre-con too. They'll have like 70 to 80,000, right? And they think that's a lot of money. So they're like, great, I can put a deposit down and they're telling me that I'm going to sign it and make double my money in 2 years because the market only goes up, right? And
the crypto, it only goes up, right?
yeah, well, this is it. So it's just like, you know, when you're in that, like the problem now is like you need, even in Canada, 200,000, you know, to invest in this area, unless you're going to Windsor, Sudbury, North Bay, Kirkland Lake, somewhere, you know, out Alberta, New Brunswick, right? And I mean, you can do well out there. You can get great cash flow out there, right? So I mean, you know, I wouldn't talk bad on those markets. To me, I'm a big believer in, you know, picking a strategy and then just executing it better, right? Like making sure you buy the right house in the right area that gets the right tenants, that doesn't have, you know, deferred maintenance that needs work on it, you know, or like things like that where, you know, you could say this area is great, but there's still so many other factors that will determine if it ends up being a good investment or not.
For sure.
Where in, I guess, Ontario, or maybe you can't even do it in Ontario, where can you do a decent burn nowadays?
It's the thing, like now that I've moved to Florida, I won't invest long-term in Ontario.
Wow.
You know, the landlord tenant board issue is the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
You know, so my tenant in Florida this year, my long-term tenant, his renewal was in April.
Yeah.
Which just passed. He was paying $1,800.
Yeah.
The conversation, he messaged me in December being like, hey Cam, just wondering what you're thinking for in April. And I'm like, cause he's worried because he knows that I can just say, no thanks. He knows the Airbnb is doing well. That probably had him nervous. He likes the unit. He loves the area. You know, super great guy. So, you know, so the conversation was to him, I'm like, okay, what do you think for rent? I'm going to raise the rent. And he's like, I'm thinking like 1950. And he goes, make it 2,000, right? Like you know what I mean? He's like, let's make it 2,000. And, you know, and it was just like, it was such a different conversation here, right? Where here you try to raise it 2.5%.
Oh my God.
And it's like, and it's, you know, and it just, once you start having these, you know, aha moments, I'll call them, where you're like, okay, yeah, I don't need to invest here. And I mean, I had one Sunday where I had an air conditioner problem at my Oshawa property, one of my Oshawa units, and my Florida unit. The same Sunday, right? Literally, I was like, what are the chances? But
it's a Super Bowl Sunday?
No, it wasn't Super Bowl Sunday, but and luckily I was there. But I literally did the same thing. I texted my HVAC guy down there. I texted my HVAC guy here.
Okay.
They both went and diagnosed the problem, fixed it, billed me, and I EMT'd the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was identical, even though this property was a 5-minute drive. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to try to pretend. So the point is you know, one was, you know, however many miles away, and the other one was down the street. And I used the same method to fix the issue. So when people get caught up in long distance investing,
for sure,
you know, I think it's just a fear that they have to get over. Yeah.
Well, so I like that you said, you mentioned pre-con investing. So do you think, like, I remember we had so many conversations about this. Yo, Cam hates pre-con, eh?
I hate it.
He absolutely
hate it with a passion.
The one thing that I remember about Cam is he fucking hates pre-con. And so what do you think? Because like I understand where you're coming from, but I also understand that there are people that do make money with pre-con. And I mean, you understand that too. Yeah. I mean, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. How do you feel about the current pre-con market?
You know, I make money playing blackjack too. You know, I don't call that an investment though. You know, it is nuts. Like it is nuts that you're just going to, you know, gamble and hope that the builder A does the project, B that they finish it and that it's decent, and you know, C that the market goes up, and you only have one exit strategy. You know, and it's just mind-boggling to me when people are like, yeah, like I'm investing in this, and you know, the market's going to go up, so I'm going to make money. I'm like, what do you think happens to all the houses around there? They also go up. Like, do you think they go down and just the condo goes up? Like, you know, if your condo is going up, my house went up, right? Like, it's just wild to me how it's this assumption that you know, and I'm like, you literally only need the market to go up, and like if you can't qualify for a mortgage, these builder contracts are criminal.
Oh, for sure.
And they can choose to cancel a project too and just say, here's your deposit. You make no money. You've invested however much, your return is negative because
And
you know,
another thing too, a lot of people don't realize is the builders are crooks, man.
Yeah.
Like they advertise $499. By the time you're done, you've spent just over 700,000. And then when close to build, something comes up, something's out of stock. Like I've seen it happen with my sister, both of my sisters actually, both of them got pre-cons, and by the time they built it, they definitely end up paying more money than they thought they were going to pay. But I also agree with you in a sense where if you're buying a pre-con, your only hope is to flip it. It's very dangerous because, like you said, if you for some reason you don't qualify for your mortgage, you're going to get screwed.
Well, you
lose
have
your
to
deposit.
sign it, right?
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. Some of them
Have an assignment fee.
and
You're
then
not
you have
allowed
to have a lawyer,
Yeah.
closing costs. It's not like you're selling a stock, right?
Yeah.
It's real estate, right?
Yeah.
So there's that risk. Another risk could be is like if the property doesn't go up in value, like what are you gonna do? You're gonna hold it? Can you afford to hold it?
Yeah.
Right. And the third thing is like it's too much risk. I think the best thing though is, and this is what both my sisters end up doing, was they buy a pre-con that they actually want to live in. And then when it's time it's built, they have the option, do you want to go live here or are we going to sell it? Right? Because that way it's a win-win. And both of them end up deciding they're actually going to move in. They bought it to move in. So that works. But if you're just doing it to flip, like, God, and then if it gets canceled, imagine your 50 grand gets canceled 4 years down the line.
Yeah.
Like, what's your 50 grand worth in 4 years versus what it could have been worth, even like a 1% return stock?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Or just buy Bitcoin.
Or Bitcoin.
Well, okay, I want to ask you two things. So one, what do you say to people who sometimes some people look at pre-con and go, oh, okay, like this is a lot more affordable because of deposit structures compared to actually buying a house. What do you say to that?
Yeah, they're right. Yeah, you're right. It is affordable, right? That's why people do it, right?
That's
Because
the catch, yeah.
you know they have that 80,000 or something, and it's not enough to put down on something, and they're, you know, they like the idea of the deposit structure is over time, and that's how they lure them in, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's popular, and I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, if that's the only reason, you know, fine. But I mean, to me, I mean, I got wholesalers that are making $100,000 a transaction with none of their own money. Learn a skill. Get, you know, do, you
Love
know,
that.
invest that money into yourself and to making yourself a higher income earner.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
you can do something, right? Like
Sure.
it's just so short-sighted to put like 80 grand into a gamble in my mind.
for
Right.
sure.
And I mean, you know, there's so many better ways to invest your money or speculate your money or whatever you want to call it. But people like the new and shiny, and I mean that's why I flip too, because I can see how it, you know, plays with people's emotions.
Oh, for sure.
How much more people will pay for new and shiny.
Yes.
And it's horrible, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it, right? Why people, you know, are willing to pay so much. I get it, but it's
our
still
emotional
just
mind,
It's like emotional versus,
But I mean, I had a property, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, that I bought and assigned it for a 65K profit without ever putting any of my own money into either. Right. So again, there's just other options and skills that you can learn that, you know, can make a better investment than, you know, trusting these builders to hopefully make something that you can assign or sell.
Well, okay, so I want to ask you about a specific project. I was talking to you about this like literally last night. What do you think about the Viewpoint Tower 2s? They have a 10K first year deposit structure. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Criminal.
I want you to elaborate on that. I saw it and I was like, okay, this seems like a bit like too good to be true, right? What are your thoughts?
I actually had a client reach out to me, and I said, okay, what's the purchase price? And it was like 900,000 or something.
God.
And I went online and I'm like, you can buy one now for 600,000 right now. The phase one, right? Universal Tower, is that one you're talking about?
No. I think it's a different one. So this is
okay. I'm talking
Towers
the Universal. There's one and two.
Yeah, so I think that's different because these ones.
Where are the Viewpoint ones there?
They're one like right beside Pickering Town Center, like the Go.
Okay, because Universal's right on Bailey there too, on the south side.
I think those are two different projects.
Yeah.
But so basically, this one was I think it's going to be built in 2028, and basically the whole catch is the first year you only pay $10,000, and then after that it's like the typical like 2.5.
Yeah, it's criminal, right? It's criminal. You're still going to you still have to put 20% down before you close.
Yeah,
and I guess it's going to make you save, or I don't know, right? Like, I wouldn't touch it. That's all I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it doesn't make sense, right? And I mean, you know, the Universal City ones that I'm talking about, like where they're in phase 2, right? They have the first tower. Same with the UC Towers in Oshawa. Similar story where they're trying to sell it for more, but current ones on the market are significantly cheaper, right? And You know, people are duped by it. And so my client comes to me mentioning this to me, and I'm like, he goes, wait, they're on the market now for how much? I go, yeah, buy the same unit right now.
God.
You have to get the mortgage now.
Yes.
Right. And that's why Station 3 condos in Whitby are actually struggling right now, because the challenge is they're building them and they're going to be ready soon.
Okay.
And people don't want it ready soon. You know, they want them ready in 2028 because they're like, I can't afford it right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of hype because they're a nice location, good builder, and you know, right downtown Whitby, like a really cool vibe. But first, they're at $1,000 a square foot, which is crazy for Whitby, and they're going to be ready soon. Like they're flying up, and they started building even before they started selling them.
Horrible.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, we are coming close to the end. Let's do a rapid fire round. Let's ask a bunch of like real estate investing questions, some takeaways, so that way we get some short form clips out of this as well. What are some quick advice you give for someone just entering the market who wants to buy their first rental property or their first real estate flip?
Yeah, I would say learn. I would say keep learning. Educate yourself through YouTube videos, through podcasts. You know, educate yourself, connect with people that are doing this type of thing, and get different opinions. Don't listen to people that are making a commission off your sale, right?
God.
They are going to sell you whatever they're getting paid on.
That's true.
So you need to find unbiased educators that will, you know, give you thoughts on what's happening. And then the second thing I would say is surround yourself with people too, that you can bounce ideas off like this of going, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Why don't you like this? Why don't you like that? Just like we just did. I think that is powerful in that, you know, you're getting an unbiased opinion of someone like, I don't care what you do, right? But here's my thoughts on it. And yeah.
Okay, awesome. I want to ask as well, what's you've been in the game for a while now. What are some mistakes you made early on that you wish you didn't do?
Ooh.
Mistakes that I've made. I trusted a contractor and got ripped off. So that I will never do. Tried to build relationships, tried to build trust with them, and yeah, ended up losing a good chunk of change because of it.
Fair. Okay.
Still made money on the flip though.
Okay. All right. And then as a Canadian, what's some tips for the people wanting to buy in the US?
There isn't much. There isn't as much as people would think.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of people I find, you know, want to have this conversation with me about buying in the States. And to me, it's no different than buying anywhere, where you need to build a power team. You need to get a mortgage broker, a realtor, wholesalers, insurance providers, lawyers. It's no different, right? You're still building a power team, and Canada and the States have built such synergy with their tax systems and with their qualifications. It's no different than buying here, right? It's absolutely no different than buying here. So don't overthink it.
Okay.
Also, I heard that if you subscribe and leave a like, you'll have your first property and it'll be a home run. But I also wanted to say, so Cam, can we do like a quick portfolio check? Like, how many doors do you have now? What's that look like?
Yeah, so I have 3 duplexes here in Oshawa, and then the 2 in Florida.
Wow. Okay, I like that. Like,
and I'm continuing to flip. I'm continuing to flip one after another. I finished a flip, and that's one thing I still think, again, is a good skill. And you know, to me, that is actually maybe how I'd answer your first question, in that, you know, to me, flipping really teaches you a lot about running numbers, about renovations, about finding deals, about buying, making money on the buy, things like that. And it is more black and white. There's more risk, I would say, but it's more black and white in that here's how much it's going to cost to buy, to renovate. Here's what I could sell it for. Here's my profit, in and out kind of thing.
Fair. We got a question from producer. How much does someone save before buying their first investment property?
Ooh.
How much should someone save?
I guess it depends on the market, right? Where they want to buy.
I mean, I'm a really big believer, and I know we talked about this before in what me and my wife did, and I've talked a lot about this in, you know, taking advantage of the 5% down. So buy a bungalow, move into it, put 5% down, and just survive at first, right? Just hang on, because that's what everyone does when they buy their first home. But buy something that has a higher and better use. Buy something that you can convert to a legal 2 unit, or now even add a 3rd unit on the property, so that once if the market does go up, you can pull money out and utilize it to add value to the property. Or if you earn more money or save more money, you can instantly start putting money into your property. But I put, and I didn't even do this. My first property, we put $12,500 down, was our 5% down. which now is not even possible. But we did that again with our second one and again with our third one.
Nice.
Right. So we did it with all three. I've never had, and so my second one, I've never put more than, the condo putting that much down on that purchase was the most I've ever put down
30%.
on a house. Like, and even just that purchase, that price was wild, right? Any of my other properties, have either been, none of my own money where I'm raising private money, but I'm confident in the deal that makes sense. So I can then, go back to A lenders or pull out money and use none of my own money.
Yeah.
So, kind of going back to your original question, by using education and understanding the options that you have other than pre-con speculating, there's ways that you can make money where you don't have to put any money down.
For sure. For sure. That's an amazing way to answer that.
No, that's fire.
Do you have anything on top of mind, or
dude, honestly,
wrapping this up?
I think we can wrap this up. This has been a fire
It's been
episode.
it's been very insightful.
I mean, we even, I guess we kind of glazed over the fact that now you're the branch manager as well. I know we talked about the off camera, but what's next for Cam? Because I think the first video I filmed with you was how you should pick your real estate. I guess we didn't even talk about that on the podcast. So Cam was at one point my mentor, and he actually basically told me to join Right at Home, we're in the office right now. And this was like 5 years ago. Cam was like, he was still kind of the guy in the office. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone knew Cam. Everyone's like, yeah, Cam, that's the guy. And now you're the branch manager. How did that, like, if you want to just quickly tell us?
Yeah, I mean, it's not what you think, right? And I mean, everyone always thinks entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and it's not as glamorous as people think.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, you took a job, now you work 9 to 5. I'm like, I know, isn't that amazing? I don't have to work 8 to 8 every day. God. And I don't have to work 8 till 10 every day, or be on call for my clients nonstop, right? It's, jobs can be a good thing, right? Jobs can be a good thing, and it can allow you to invest in real estate. And there's a lot of people that had good jobs who grew their portfolio to then retire. Yeah. And a lot of people don't talk about that. They talk about after they've fired or they've gone, freedom, and they're now, but they're like, well, they had a, $200K a year job that allowed them to get mortgages, allowed them to grow their portfolio, and gave them security and confidence, right? Yeah. If you're an entrepreneur buying a property, or you're on commission based, there's nothing scarier than going, oh shit, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills next month, right? I better get a sale, or I have to get a sale. So, or my business has to do well.
Or you get a side hustle.
Yeah. Where you come in and you're just like, I'm getting paid. I know that paycheck's coming. And again, it can allow you to, move forward with other things. So, I mean, my plan right now is to continue to grow my flipping business. And this job allows me to stay into real estate, be connected with what's happening in the area, be able to feed my family, not have to worry about that at all, not have to worry about if a flip doesn't work, because that could happen. The market could change. I don't want to have to worry about that. And there's so much to be said about having that stress lift off of you of going, wow, I need to make sales this month or my family doesn't eat. So it's a good hustle, but it's, it wears you down. And, I think this type of job is just something that, I've wanted to try for a while.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Dude, so I think we should get a job.
God.
Well, that's it. You guys are young. That's it. You guys are young, and I've done what you guys are doing for years, and you guys will know, right? Like it's a lot of work, right? Anyone who tells you it's not as, you're going, geez, like I got to keep, doing this podcast, maybe even on nights you don't want to do it, or something comes up, or, things like that, where, you don't have a choice, where, the people that get to check out at 5 o'clock is like, that's pretty cool. I don't think they appreciate how, how much value there is in that peace of mind.
But even responsibility too, that's a big thing, right? Where now you're married and you have 2 kids, and you said your wife is at home, versus the Cam who's by himself, who could sleep on his friend's couch, right, or sleep in the office, right? And not that you were doing these things, but that's how I feel now, because now I'm married and my wife doesn't work; she runs her business. But it's like now it's like, oh, there's 2 of us now, versus before I could just stay at home, right? But now it's like, oh no. So that's a big thing that people don't realize. Where like, as you get older, responsibilities, you have to. That's why you got to hustle while you're young, I'd say. That's why we're going so hard now. So
that's it. There's no risk right now for you guys, right? There's limited risk, right? Where if you mess up, who cares, right? Exactly. Like there's not there's not consequences to other people. Where and I mean it's one of those things. It's I've always been a believer of not getting stuck on one thing, like not being like I'm believe in being, what's the word, where you're just
Fluid.
adaptable, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
adapting to your situations, right? The way I stopped investing here and went to Florida, the way I'm saying, okay, January I started back up flipping again because I saw in the market, like I really believe in, not being so tunnel vision, right? Being
Yes.
open-minded in
Yes.
anything,
Yes.
and if you asked me if I would have a job in 5 years ago, I don't know, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was so like when I heard, because I saw Saman actually at that this like Pickering like party, whatever. And he was one. He was like, "Yeah, Cam's the branch manager." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "What do you mean he's the branch manager?" He's like, "Yeah, because I mean, shout to Saman too." I was just like, not that I didn't. I don't know. It was just random. I was like,
No, it feels random, but to me, it's not.
yeah. Well, I
It
guess
feels random to most people because they're going, "Wow, this is the guy who's always doing entrepreneur stuff, right?"
Yeah.
Now why would he take a job? Like, what is the purpose behind that, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, we're in an age now too where like job doesn't mean you're stuck there and you can't do anything else, right?
Yeah.
100%.
And it's you can have a job and still invest in real estate and still, have a good lifestyle. But I mean,
sure.
Yesterday was Monday, dropped my kids off at daycare and school, came here, put in a shift, went golfing after, turned my phone off, and just could enjoy my evening, right? And
sure.
it's a different mindset or a different lifestyle. And nowadays it's like, when you're an entrepreneur, you work every day, and I've done that for years, and it is rewarding, but I just don't think, the whole retiring thing or retiring early is just not something I want to do. And to me, it's going to allow me to be more aggressive in my flips and, really ramp that up. I'd love to in 5 years from now being like, I'm flipping 10 properties at a time. That's ultimately like, or developing or getting into, land developments or getting into bigger stuff like that, which, really is where I hope to be in the future.
Dude, that's gonna be sick, and we'll definitely do a part 2.
Before
we wrap things up, there's one thing, I guess, one piece of advice that you told me that stuck. Did I say stuck to me? That stuck with me for a very long time, and I want you to explain to the audience your concept on not having goals. If you want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, good example here, right? Like I've took this job, but it's people always, and actually we did a meeting today where, with the agents, we have our weekly meeting, and I was talking about kind of marketing strategies and different business planning, and being adaptable, right? Of saying like, my theory has always been like, just like right now, I'm not telling you my goal is to flip. I have a direction. I want to continue to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many houses do I want to flip? A lot. I don't have a goal. I want to flip more. I want to develop more. I want to move forward in that direction, but I'm not going to say I want 6 houses because maybe that's too little. Maybe I can do 20. Maybe I can do, to me, it's just like, focus on mastering whatever you're doing, right? If it's flipping, if it's selling real estate, if it's podcasting, focus on, how can I make it better? How can I have better guests? What is your goal for the podcast? It's infinite. You want it to be, I don't have to ask you. You guys want it to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
It's like, of course, right? But do you need a goal? No, but you need to say, okay, well, how can we make it better?
Yes.
Focus on the process. How could we have improved this? After this is done, you should be driving home going, damn, I could ask that question, or I could have, and I'm sure you do that.
Dude,
right?
I already have like a couple in my head. Like, fuck.
Well, this is it, right? I mean, to me, that's what you should be working on, of going like, okay, what would be next as far as equipment upgrades, or where can we invest money, or who should we reach out to, or how do we get, focusing on improving your business and reflecting on it to head in a direction, to me makes more sense than, trying to be like, I want, X amount of subscribers to my podcast.
Of course.
But yeah, I think that explains it. I don't know if it's changed since.
No, that's what I remember. And I think a lot of people, whenever people ask me, oh, Radies, like, how much money's in your bank account, or like, how much crypto do you have? I say, not enough. I think it's the most truest thing ever. Like when people ask, how much money do you make? Not enough.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. And it's like, it's also kind of cheeky. Like when you say not enough, they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Let's get the conversation
or
going.
it'd be like, what's your goal? How much do you want to make when you're older? I'm like, a lot. I
Yeah.
don't know, right? Like who doesn't want to make more, right?
Yeah.
Or depending on
better.
Yeah, just be better, right? And I mean, I just think that is more important and more what you should focus on is just how to, go in the direction that you want to go into. But as I talked about earlier, I really believe in pivoting that direction. And that's why I think if you set goals, sometimes people get stubborn trying to reach a goal that doesn't make sense, right? And it's like they're trying to go somewhere where it's like, do you still want to go there? And they're like, well, I don't know, I set the goal though. It's like, okay, well, like you can change that. Like it doesn't, people always say to like commit to this goal. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
The
maybe
maybe next year flipping doesn't work. And I'm, you say, well, Cam, you wanted to flip more houses. I say, yeah, well, the market changed. Yeah. This happened. And I'm now doing this. So what? That's perfectly fine.
Dude, the best example of that is people that do like 2 years of an undergrad that they fucking hate.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I already did 2 years. I may as well, whatever. And they just finish off their 2 years. And then, bro, okay, so this is a side tangent. There's one person, like there's one girl that I'm talking to. She said she did a degree in like pharmaceutical sciences, right?
Okay.
Guess where she's trying to get a job right now?
Right at home.
Close, at the bank. And she says to me, she's like, yeah, my friend knows the manager. She's gonna get me a job. And I'm like, wait, but don't you have like a a different degree? And she's like, and she's laughed. And I'm like, what?
God.
Yeah, but crazy. I mean, at least she's not like she's admitting and
that's
doing
cool.
something else too. I mean, sometimes that's not at a choice. But
I guess for people our age, we see that a lot. Like people going to school for something and they just, I don't know, that we can go on a whole other tangent. But Cam, we have our final 4. So this is 4 questions that we ask all of our guests. And we're gonna get right into the first one. Is if you could swap lives with someone, or sorry, we're not gonna give them an option anymore. They have to.
Okay.
So you have to swap lives with someone for 24 hours. Who would you pick?
Jeff Bezos.
Ooh, why Jeff Bezos?
Just respect what he's done. I respect him as an entrepreneur, as someone who grew arguably the greatest business of all time,
sure.
and really smart person who is now stepped away from Amazon, but we'll see what the future holds with him. But no, I mean, I'm still an entrepreneur at heart, and I mean to have, I guess I swap with them. I don't get to learn from them. I'm thinking more like learn from them instead of swap. But
probably learn a little.
Learn a lot in one day living in his shoes.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's more about understanding what, having the mindset like he did, to me is just insane. The greatest of all time to run, negative profitability for years just to grow a base of people, then to be profitable like you wouldn't believe is just. It's just so cool to me.
And it started off as a bookstore too. A lot of people don't know that. That's pretty cool.
Okay. And then who would you say is the most motivating person of all time for you?
Motivating person. Who motivates me? I think it changes. Like, I'm a really big Alex Hormozi fan.
No way.
And I've been following him since the start.
No way.
People don't realize.
Oh shit.
So, because remember, I used to run the gym, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're from Gym Launch days.
So
no way.
I'm still part of his Facebook group of Gym Launch, where he used to post daily videos in there, and on a Facebook private group page, where he would be in there talking about entrepreneurship and what he's doing, and that's when he was trying to grow the Gym Launch business, right? So I mean, I now seeing what he's done is super motivating.
Wait, you still have the gym too, right?
I've given it up now. But I remember we were very close to subscribing to Gym Launch, right? To taking his methods. We never ended up doing it, but I believed in everything he said, and he's a genius. Like he is really smart in what he does, and like his story is just really motivating and powerful. And I love how strong he is with his beliefs, and I think he's just someone that really motivates me when I see what they're doing.
Hermo's a cool guy, man.
Damn.
God, even him.
You got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. We actually had one of his buddies on before. So
okay, cool.
We have like a
warm connection.
Yeah.
We're gonna get
that one in person though.
We gotta. Where is he in? Florida, Miami, LA?
I'm not too sure.
We'll make it happen.
You'll fly there regardless.
Yeah, we'll go there. So Cam, we know that, or I guess the people might know as well, you love books. Okay. By the way, what was your favorite book? I forgot it. Is it Good to Great or whatever? Is that your favorite book?
The E-Myth.
The what?
The E-Myth.
The E-Myth, yes, and the E-Myth Revised, yes. Okay.
The E-Myth Revised. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. And
this job, sorry to mention it, but this job is a lot of, not from the book, but like the E-Myth is the entrepreneur myth, right? Like people thinking entrepreneurship is something that it's not, right? And there's a lot of people out there that are pumping entrepreneurship like it is better than other things, where it's not. It's different. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different thought process. But that was a book that opened my eyes quite a bit.
Well, just to spin off that, I think a lot of people don't understand that you could work at McDonald's, work a minimum wage job, and you could still become a millionaire just by investing properly.
Yep.
But I don't know, people.
Be a lot harder, but it's
It
possible.
would be a lot harder, yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, as an entrepreneur, a lot of the time you're making less than minimum wage, especially when you're just starting out.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I don't know. Anyways, the third question is: let's just say from the day you were born till now, your whole life is written in a book. What would the title of that book be called?
The title of the book about my life?
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah,
depressing question.
I love that question, bro.
It's a depressing question because you're like, damn, what am I doing to leave a mark, or what am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, hopefully it's not like Oshawa property tours or something like that. I don't know. I'd like to think it's still being written in it.
Mr. Florida?
Mr. Florida, yeah, something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Gosh.
To me, I don't know. I don't know what a title would be. I mean,
Oshawa to Orlando.
something. Yeah.
Oh, Oshawa to Orlando.
That's maybe why I should have invested Orlando just for a book title. Yeah, something like that. But no, I mean, and remember, investing is a means to an end, right? To me, it's I just it came from a necessity, and of this country that we live in that we won't get into, but it has limitations in what we can do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that has been perpetuating why the real estate is the way it is, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic. But I don't know. I don't know what the book title would be. It'd be hopefully something about investing and entrepreneurship around there, because again, I do consider myself like a, what do you call like a, even though I have a job now, I'm still an entrepreneur, like junkie, right? Of wanting to, there's the title, entrepreneur junkie.
Okay, there we go. I like that. Entrepreneur junkie.
Just someone who is willing to, analyze. I love analyzing, you know what my favorite show is? I don't know if you guys have seen it with Marcus Lemonis in the States.
No.
You guys got to watch it.
Honestly, we don't watch that much TV.
Is it a real estate show?
No, it's a small business owner. He's the CEO of Camping World. What's the name of the show? And he goes and he helps small businesses, right? He'll go to like a ice cream shop that is like failing, and he'll go in and he'll like turn it around and
I think I heard of it.
Okay,
It's on YouTube too, no?
It might be. It's like this is one of those like a show
profit.
where like
He's profitable profit.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Does he also do like the ones the restaurants where they turn restaurants around, or is that
That's
a whole
Gordon
show?
Ramsay, bro.
No, that's a different one.
No.
That's
he's like a guy who goes into like shitty restaurants and he makes restaurants better now.
No way.
Yeah.
But
it's around that.
That's Hell's Kitchen.
God.
Or Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah, I forget what it is his name, but he's just really smart and entrepreneur guy.
Okay.
But anyways, I love it because it's talking about businesses and thinking about different types of investments and what can work and what doesn't. And I think that needs to be taught in school. I think there needs to be a book on like, let's look at investments.
Oh, for sure.
Would you open a paint store? Would you open a real estate brokerage? And does it work and make sense, right? And some type of education. Maybe I'll write a book on it.
There we go.
I like that. And then the last question is, if this was your dying message to the world, what would your last message to the world be?
Enjoy life. Enjoy it. I really think we're here for such a short period of time. It's funny. My daughter right now is like, she's 4.5 and she's like learning about death. And she's like, am I going to die? And like asking these questions that I'm like, whoa, like, I'm like, well, yes, you will eventually, but not for a long time and all that. Right. And she's like, are you going to, and it's just weird. She's asking these like innocent questions that are like pretty deep though. Right. Cause I'm going like, damn. Right. And it's just, it's made me realize, that, and I know it is kind of cliche. It is stupid cliche, but I guess it just, I even look back, I was watching some history show where they're like, they were going back like how many centuries. And I'm like, holy shit. Like there's people like 500 years ago that thought they were relevant and that they were like, going to do something or that they would have some type of impact on the world today. And it's like, we really are just here for a small period of time and you do have to enjoy it. You do have to, kind of chase your goals, but just live in the moment and not stress too much, when people, cut you off on the street and all that, like you put it in perspective of why we're here and just, enjoy life. Yeah.
Wow. That was a very good answer. I like that.
God, I love it.
Damn. I guess that pretty much wraps it up. Guys, I want to say, if you guys really do like Cam, go to, is there anything on your YouTube channel? Well, my channel's better anyways. No. But go to my YouTube channel or just search Cam Cassidy, guys. He has a plethora of content on multiple channels, even like actual proper like real estate in-depth videos. So go check those out. We'll leave all of Cam's links down below.
Yep.
And yeah, pretty much wraps it up. Cam, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
a
guys.
pleasure.
That's
It's always good talking to you, making content.
We'll see you again in 4 years.
Yeah. Sooner this time. But yeah, guys, until next time, stay seeking success. Woo!